Hello and welcome back. This is Sherry with Heart and Soul in the studio with episode 2 of our Stencil Making 2.0 series. So if you are just joining me for the very first time, welcome. I hope if you enjoy this video, you'll give me a thumbs up and click on subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos. You can click the little bell if you want a notification when I do post something new. I have been working on a series. This is kind of the second half, so I've changed it to 2.0. There is a series called Stencil Making 101. I will put a link down below so that you can start at the very beginning, where I started my journey of stencil making using my MacBook Pro and my Cricut. I also have tips and things for if you want to hand cut stencils if you're not using a cutting machine. And in this second half, I think there are going to be more that lend themselves because I'm going to be using other software besides Cricut Design Space to design them. So you can design your stencils in lots of different programs and then just print them out on cardstock or whatever you want and then hand cut them out. So that's what I'm going to do again today. I had a fun new stencil that I played around with, and I wanted to share this process because the first time I did it, I found something I needed to do a tiny bit different. So I want to share that with you because I like to share, not necessarily mistakes, but maybe things that would turn out a little better. And then that way you don't have to reinvent the wheel. So we're going to work again today just on a word processing program. I'm using Pages because I'm working on a MacBook Pro, but this same kind of idea might translate to whatever program that you're using. I understand that Microsoft Word works the same way, and also PowerPoint. So I wanted to say thank you, first of all, to the autistic side. I hope you're watching this. Thank you for taking the time to help me out with a question that I had. Since you seem so knowledgeable about the computer compared to me, a lot of you out there, I'm sure, did not grow up with computers. And so we're having to learn everything. I've never taken a class. So everything's just kind of from figuring things out on my own or searching something online that might help answer a question, that kind of thing. So thank you for doing a game changer move for me. One thing, and I'm going to show you when I go to the computer, but one thing was that I could not figure out how to cut and paste a shape that I had created in my Cricut Design Space. And it's such a basic function that I knew it had to exist. And so you really saved me because a lot of videos out there for all kinds of things, they'll say, just right click and this menu will come down. Well, I work on a MacBook Pro that has a trackpad. And so when you right click, nothing happens. So I'm going to show you today what I was doing wrong. And it's a game changer because it's going to work. The same thing will work no matter what kind of software I'm using. So I'm going to use that today. It also created a shortcut that I was really hoping I could find for the word processing program to do these warped shapes. So this is what I have come up with. The video at the end, I'm going to have just a sped up version of me actually creating this in real time. I thought I would do a video. I had it started and it was a lot of fun, so I thought I'm just going to turn the camera on. So I did, but it ended up taking like an hour and a half to finish it. So I'm going to just take a section of the video and speed it up, put it to music. So if you're interested in watching me actually create this one at kind of a faster speed, it will be at the end of the video. I'm also going to kind of start at the beginning and just show you how to even start this and then work on a different stencil that I'm playing around with today. So we'll do that. Now, the thing I wanted to show you on camera before I go to my computer, when I did this stencil the first time, as I was playing around, I was going to start making paisley shapes. And I wanted to kind of see if I could do sort of the style like I doodle in the evening. If you've ever seen my doodles that I show once in a while, I wanted to see if I could kind of doodle on a word processing program. And I started, like I said, I was going to make a paisley thing, and then I started kind of doing these swirly things, and I started just kind of making it grow. So this whole stencil is one shape. It's not multiple things. And it was a lot of fun doing it. It was just very kind of meditative, I guess, and relaxing to do it. So I wanted to share how I did that. The thing, as I was making it, I was realizing if it's one shape, I'll have a stencil that's in a frame, maybe like this. And this is actually the part that was cut out of that. So I would end up with a stencil and a mask sort of stencil. And it was a fun idea, but what happens is because it's all one piece, I don't have anything attaching. There's floppy parts in here because nothing crosses over each other. And that's how you get this to be in one piece. If you remember from the last series, there would be stencils where the white space was cut out or the black space was cut out, or the reverse. If all the parts touched each other, what was cut out would be like this is your stencil. I know that sounded confusing, but I'll show you on the computer. We kind of covered it in the last video, I think, as well. So I have this on my gel plate because I wanted to show you what happened. So you end up with this, both of them are floppy, and I got them over here, and it's like, okay, how am I going to get this onto my gel plate? So this, I couldn't even get this one, the stencil, to lay out without it being kind of a mess and messing up the paint. So I thought, well, what I need to do is I actually need to connect a few parts so that it's not so floppy, and then it'll work. So that was this was created using the mask part. I was able to kind of get it dropped onto my gel plate, but even then it wasn't easy. So I really love the design, but it wasn't functional as much as I wanted. And this is the print that I created, and if you look at it, you can see there's no overlapping, nothing is connecting. It was just really cumbersome to use. So I thought I'm going to redo it, and the good thing is, and I always say, save your work in whatever program you're creating it, because once you've exported it out in different formats, if you haven't saved the original in your word processor or whatever software you're using, you won't be able to go back and make changes to it. So I went back into Pages where I started, and I actually took a couple of easy little spots, and I'm going to show you how to do this if you were to create one as one thing and then want to add in these little connections after the fact, because that's what I had to do. It still has a couple of little floppy bits. I could have done more. But it works now. It at least lets me lay it onto my gel plate. So that was good enough. And then I just ended up with just a few little random shapes that are actually really kind of interesting too. I know you can't see these very well, but even just to lay these onto a gel plate and print them, at least they're, you know, some of them are kind of larger pieces that are really pretty. So I'll save those, and I can use those for some collage kind of random things. So let's go over to the computer. Oh, this is the print from the second one, so you can see I have these little connections here. So let's go over to the computer and I'll show you how I did it. Okay, here we are in Cricut Design Space. The first thing I want to show you is the new thing that I learned, and we'll maybe come back and forth to this. So the trackpad issue I was having, I did not know that if I double click, you see I'm double clicking, nothing's happening, it's just selecting parts of my thing here, but I don't get any menus. So I need to select my item, hit Control, and then click my trackpad, and I get these menus. And no matter what program you're in, it does the same thing. It'll just be a different menu. So how I can copy a shape is, this is one shape, or actually let's just see if I can isolate and select. I'm not sure if it will let me or not. Because I have different shapes here, let me see if I can just isolate that shape. Hit Control. It's going to copy the whole thing. It's because I imported this as one large thing, so it's kind of all grouped together. But anyway, it's going to Control, copy, and then if I go and I'm going up to File, I can't just go to New Window unless I want to replace this canvas. If I have it saved, it's not a big deal. I can say yes, replace, and give me a new canvas. But if I didn't have this saved, which I don't think I do, then it would get rid of it. So I'm going to instead hit Cancel. You can go up to File, and you can open a new window, and that will give me a whole new Cricut Design Space without affecting my other one. So I can go here, I can go New Project, and then I just Control, click my trackpad and paste, and it brings my design in. So this is really handy because if I had just, you know, one element of this that I wanted to save for future, I could do that and I could just save it in my shapes. So that was a huge game changer for me. I'm just going to quit and get out of that, and then we'll minimize this, and we may come back to that. Pages, my word processing program, and I have my design up that I was working with, and I'm going to start a new one so that you can kind of see how I got to this point, and then we'll come back to this and I'll show you how I connected them after the fact, because you can actually kind of do that as you're working on it. So I've saved this, and I'm going to open a new file, a new blank document, create. And we're going to work on this one just so I can show you how I kind of got to that point. So I'm going to go up here to shapes. Now you can start with a circle, anything, any kind of shape. Let's just start with a circle. I think that's probably what I did because I was thinking I'd make a paisley or something like that. So right now I'm in style. I like to have this. So I'm not on constrain. And so if I want to just start by even, you know, adjusting my shape like that, I can. And then I can go, this was another new thing that I learned. I can go use that trackpad trick again with control and click my trackpad, and I get a little menu here, and I have make editable right there. So it was just a faster way to get there without going to format and all of that. So to start that kind of design, I'm just started with one shape, and I thought, okay, I'm just going to kind of stretch it out here. And I was thinking maybe some kind of paisley thing. So anywhere you double click again, you can make a, let's get it twisted, a sharper line, a sharp turn. So I kind of just started doing this, and maybe I make this one sharp. So I kind of started out with that sort of shape. And you can, you know, adjust it however tight, you know, small you want your pattern to be. And that crisscross thing, remember, I don't want that to crisscross too much. So maybe I started like this. And then I wanted it, you know, to have something else kind of come out of that. So I just kind of made those points and started breaking things apart and created a reversed curve kind of deal. And maybe I make that one round again and make this one. And then I was playing around with kind of swirling, trying to make a spiral, which I'm going to show you as part of my next design that I'm working on today. So you just kind of play around and start creating this shape. And like I said, it's just, I can make that one rounded again and maybe make this one my square. And then kind of just pull things around each other. Oops. And you just start creating, you know, some kind of pattern. And I liked it to wrap around, you know, another wrap around the opposite direction. So it takes a while. It took me about an hour and a half to make that one, to get everything how I wanted. But you can, you can delete a path if you get too many in there that it's a shape that you're not liking. You can slide it along the path. And you'll get, this is really, to me, doing this exercise was really good practice, just to kind of get used to how the whole thing worked. All the different paths and moving them around and how they worked with each other. And again, making the square ones. Let's make that rounded for now and maybe make this the square one so that I get that sharp point. So you just play around like that until you fill up the whole page. Okay, so say I have this whole sheet filled up and it's all one shape, but I want to make a stencil out of it, so I want to maybe connect these two so it's not floppy. So what I need to do is, you can always start another shape too. They don't all have to be one shape. But if you did like I did and it was one shape, I need to be able to connect this. And I need it to overlap that one a little bit. That way, imagine I have this whole design done. I've now attached two of my white parts so I don't have a floppy piece. So now what I need to do is I've created, if you look, this little sliver in between. So now it's kind of like I have multiple shapes, but they're all connected right now. So if I select my shape, hit Control, click my pad, I can go down here to break apart. And now it's going to break all those pieces apart. So what I need to do now is I want that little sliver to be white. I want just this little sliver there. So now that these are broken apart, I can just click on that little one and go to Color Fill and make it white. Now I tried doing Select All, Unite, and it just made it black again. So this way it looks like the stencil that I need it to be, but it's actually in multiple pieces, including that one. So I think I can actually, let me see if I delete that. Now I have this piece and this piece. So I'm thinking once I have that completed, how I did it in my other one, let's go back here. I went through and they're all broken apart, and I can go in and make all of these white. And then my stencil looks like a stencil. Make it white and delete it. Now it's going to be, I think, this is a shape, this is a shape. It's highlighting the black shapes now because this white is all part of the actual background. So I want to go to that one, Color Fill, make it white. That one. Let's see if I can do multiples at once. And I did. And then delete those. So now those connections are really just the white shape. I have this one too. It's white. Those are all one shape now. So the white is all one shape, and the black are individual shapes that are going to get cut out. So now I can save my file. I can go and export it. Again, just the same that we did in the last video. We will export it by saving it as export as a PDF. Then I'm going to go into my PDF and I'm going to export that as a PNG. And then I'm going to airdrop it to my iPad so that I could use capture and make it smooth. And it'll save it as an SVG, and then I can import it into my, I'm going to get rid of that. I can then import it into my Cricut, or you can just print it out and hand cut it. Okay, so this is just kind of how I started that one. And like I said, at the end of this video, I'm going to play you my actual creating that one just in faster. So let's get rid of that because I actually have started another one. And I wanted to show you this quick too because it's just to give you ideas of the different organic shapes that you can make. So This one I decided I wanted to see if I could make a swirl, and I'll start one from scratch again just so you can see how I started this one. I created this one as a shape, and then I duplicated it and made this one and this one, and it was pretty quick once I had one of them done, once I had one swirl. So I'm going to start though with the shape that I used, which was just this little swirly thing. You can use a circle, but you saw how it was for me to try to do that into a spiral. It took a little bit. This at least is already started. So I'm going to just hit my control and click my trackpad and make editable, and just start kind of playing with one. You could actually go like this and drag and get rid of all those highlighted ones, and not because I don't really need those. So you see I have my swirl started already. Again, control, click my pad, make editable. So that was just faster. And I can just kind of start making my swirl. Maybe I want these a little bit wider. Maybe I don't want, there's so many little paths in there that I don't think I want. This one's all twisted. Okay, so what I did to make it a little easier is, let's make this thinner. I took and I made this a sharp point, and I just kind of started doing this. And I'm kind of twisted there, but I'll untwist. You can kind of just pull it around. Making it shorter gets me wider again, and then I can kind of come around, make this smaller, just to make, if I want to make my spiral a little tighter. And I kind of liked it looking wonky, so even after I kind of got it to go around a few times, you could go back and adjust. And then I just grabbed it and kind of brought it in to connect. So that one kind of looks a little thicker and different. Okay, so there's another spiral, and then I can take this one, add it here, and maybe I want to fill in this gap. So I would do, again, control my trackpad, make it editable, and I was selected on that one, so I might as well just move this one here. I've got to watch this little area there. There, that looks good. And then I can take that one and I can Command D, duplicate it, and then I like to flip it so that it doesn't look the same direction. Maybe I want to flip it this way too. And then I want to distort it a little bit, so I can just hit control my trackpad again. Oops. Select it, control trackpad, make editable. and do the same thing, kind of make it fit in that little space. A sharper point there. And then I would just maybe kind of make this look a little different than the other one too. So it's maybe a little wonkier looking, which I kind of like that look of maybe not being, having some kind of flatter sides. Okay, and then you can actually, oh, I don't like that little bit there. So let's do it, select it again. Make that a rounded one. And then I could take that one and duplicate it, or I think I like this one. I'm gonna Command D, duplicate this one. And you see the weird shapes because they were filling in those little gaps. And I think I want to move this one up a little bit then. And then let's see, oh, wrong one. Select this one, flip it, maybe rotate it. And then Control click, make editable. I can fill in that little gap. Get rid of that one. Get rid of that one. Maybe get rid of that. And then kind of change the shape of it again too, so that it doesn't look so much like it started. And there you go. So if I keep adding to this whole page, I would have a stencil then where all of these little spirals will be cut out. But if I fill the whole thing up, my stencil would be the black part, and I don't need to put a frame around it, because all of these white parts, if you look at them, you can see that those would be cut out. So I'm going to finish creating this stencil, and we'll look at it on the gel plate in my next video. So have a great rest of your day, and go make something. Bye.